Welcome to Story Trading VIPs. It's Monday, December 5th. I'm back in the office. We got lots to talk about. SPY QQQ, you can see that down this morning. So the question is this rally going to continue? The rally started by Powell last week, or is it going to fizzle out? So let's look at the different levels here on SPY. You can see the 403.95, where I think, oh man, we're so close to the 200 DMA. That's a very key important level. It looks like it's about 403.70, so it'll be great to hold that level on the SPY. If you don't, I'm a big believer in the DMA, so 20 DMA down there is next. Let's look at the weekly. Weeklies are even better, though. So you can see the weekly here, the resistance at about 409 to the upside on SPY and about 392 to the downside. We'll talk about a couple of the news events that could be influencing this in a second. QQQ down 0.7% right here in pre-market. You can see right between the 20 and the 200 DMA. Let's see if we get a better signal on the weeklies right here. So you go to the weekly candle, and where is that 20-week moving average? It's like right on it. I can't even see it. So it looks like we're right on the 20-week moving average. It's in between the 200 and the 50. So really, both of these charts still kind of an indecision area, and we're not getting a strong signal from TLT. TLT is down 1%, but you don't see UUP up. Okay, so mixed signals. Everything's kind of a little bit unclear in regards to that. You see Bitcoin risk asset up 1%, RK risk asset down 1%. Now there's a couple things happening. China reopening continues. China reopening play. You can see that in BABA up 4%. You can see that in JD, which is up 3.5%, continuing to just rip over the past week, and LI up 6%. So is that net good for the economy or bad? If China opens, I would say it's probably good, but it can also bring inflation worries. Now, there's another story here. Delta Airlines, have American Airlines there, but Delta Airlines agreeing to some big pay hike, 34% pay hike for pilots. It's going to be instituted over a few years. So that is a sign that shows you how sticky inflation can be. So that's going to be an issue, something to keep an eye on longer term. And also maybe for the airline stocks, maybe not so good, as they're going to have to increase their prices probably in the near term. Delta started, probably American and everyone else will have to follow suit. So, and then we have CPI next week, December 13th, FOMC next week, next Wednesday, December 14th. So really, we're kind of back in this. We thought, Powell gave us a beginning of a Santa Claus rally, but because of the movements and the ensuing 2 days and now pre-market here, it looks like we're still kind of in a chop zone and an indecision zone with not very clear signals from a macroeconomic perspective, not clear signals from TLT and UP, which direction we're going to go. So we're back to just focusing, at least what we like to do at Story Trading, focusing on near-term re-ratings of stocks based on catalyst sentiment, technicals, and fundamentals. So let's take a look at a couple of those. Oh, by the way, let's look at how Apple's doing over here. Apple back above those key moving averages, so we'll have to watch that. That's going to be important. All right, Tesla. Well, I've been following Tesla more closely now. They had that big semi-truck event last week. Fake news this morning about them cutting production in China, which they rebutted. That's the reason for this drop in the pop back at 185. You can see here you got support at about right there, the 20 DMA, 185. That's one of the reasons I picked some up this morning. When I saw that drop over here, I did pick some up because I'm like, all right, that's 20 DMA support. And the thesis we had a couple weeks ago, we basically nailed the bottom to the day about the sentiment change and how important sentiment changes are, with that bearish analyst finally going bullish and doing so right at the 200-week moving average. So I'm definitely interested in buying supports and buying dips in Tesla since that sentiment change. Speaking of Tesla, EV batteries, nuclear, Frey and SMR, keeping an eye on those. I did pick up some SMR a little bit late on that thesis I had that Elon Musk started talking well about nuclear. Thought that could have some legs. Well, stock did have a nice day Friday, so we'll have to see if there's some follow through on SMR. This is a difficult one because it's going to move completely on sentiment. This company is not going to make money for like 10 years. It's going to be all on sentiment. So we'll have to see if we can get some follow through on SMR. Now, some actual news for some specific stocks here. We have news hitting on CTLP, TFFP, and TXMD this morning. CTLP doing an acquisition, which is immediately accretive. You can take a look at that press release. There are some numbers there in terms of the purchase price and also the revenue and EBITDA coming from the other company. They're going to have more. They're going to have updated guidance December 12th Investor Day. They've really been talking up this December 12th Investor Day. I believe that's next Monday on CTLP. So I've been holding. I have a long-term position, but I also have a trade position because of this move, this break above the 50 DMA a few days ago. And the resistance level, the next one I see is at $3.85. Maybe that's in play today. Maybe I'll get to reach the target and take some trading shares off the table at 385. So some good news on CTLP this morning. TFFP. TFFP has news. CEO leaves. Often when a CEO is leaving, especially when the company has done very poorly, that's a positive catalyst for the stock. In pre-market, the stock moved right exactly to the 20 DMA. Right here, you can see that there's a 20 DMA at 136 to the penny this morning, right there, 137. So that's just amazing, isn't it? But I did not play this, but you can understand why the stock has moved up on that. And no real information about this, no real reason why the person's leaving, why the CEO is leaving. I know there were some people unhappy with them, so that's why this stock is going up. Interim CEO named. So we'll see. Dan Carlson, I tagged him in the TFFP room. Maybe I'll have some commentary on what he thinks about that. TXMD had news. TXMD, basically, in a sense, they sold the company, basically selling all their assets and turning the company into a royalty company. Now they're getting about $15 a share in cash, but they have to pay off at least $10 in debt. So this is a really difficult one to measure, to calculate like where this should be fair value. The business is being fundamentally changed. The revenue is going from like $80 million to like $6 million a year, but it's higher margin. So I don't have a good feel on this. I've been avoiding it. But roughly $15 cash, pay off $10 debt, you get about $5 cash. So, it's a 485. It's kind of pricing it close to the cash level, I believe. But there are some other components that they have to pay off. I think they're buying out preferred shareholders or something, and I don't know how much that costs. So maybe they'll be down even below $5 after buying them out. So, so a lot of moving parts here. Not very clear what to do. So I've been avoiding it. Just bringing this up since this was a stock that was, I think it was presented at one point, and we have a research room on that. All right. Now, over the weekend, I held a lot of these risk assets because they all had really, really nice charts, despite the fact that the market was a little bit down on Friday. But even in the morning, you see it did recover Friday afternoon. The QQQ had a nice close. But even in this gap down this morning, you had in risk assets a lot of nice movements and a lot of nice charts. So let's take a look at a couple of them. First of all, Credit Suisse sentiment reason why I jumped on it last Friday. I talked to you about that the CEO was saying the outflow. Okay, I'm back. And let me get my screen back up here. 1 second. So where were we? We were at we went through the news on TFFP. Okay, CS. We're talking about MEIP. So MEIP, this is one a Twitter guru gave me. I'm familiar with this company for a long time. It trades below EV, like negative $100 million EV. And between the chart being good and the catalysts that are coming up and the technicals that actually broke this resistance level here, I like this. I got in and I'm looking for a move to about 50 cents, maybe all the way to 66 cents. 50 to 66 cent target on MEIP based on catalysts and technicals. All right, also looking for some movement in SPRC and FAZE. These are all, a lot of these are just technical based right now. These risk assets, a lot of charts exactly like this, moving above the 20 DMA and a lot of room to the next major moving average. So so that's the play on these. Look at these charts, all the same situation on these. All right. XXII, we're interviewing the CEO Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. It's not going to be recorded. That's tomorrow. Tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Not going to be recorded. So tune in tomorrow so you can hear from the CEO. We're going to ask him some tough questions. Go EV. Another one with almost a breakout chart. So not as nice as the other ones just yet, but if it breaks above that 50 DMA, it has a lot of room to run potentially. So a lot of nice charts out there, guys, on these risk assets. CANO, CANO. All right, this one's a little bit running out of steam. The 20 DMA keeps dropping. So the upside now at 222, right? So it's dropped from like 250 to 222. We're already at $2. So I did take some off the table because I had a really good entry on this. Now the RSI is still very low at $34. So I still think there's a chance the rumor will reemerge and we're going to break that 220 DMA and play with this gap, either the bottom of the gap here or the top of that gap, like 250 to 320. I think that is still in play, but because I had a really good entry and this 20 DMA is getting close, I did decide to take some off the table on Friday. So it's a risk reward thing. Just keep that in mind. We're continuing to monitor CTMX and TBLA. They're in between key moving averages, in between the 20 and the 200 after really good news. So I'm a buyer down towards here and I'm a seller up towards there. I have confidence that lower support is going to hold because of the strong fundamental impact of the news, both in Tableau here with the Yahoo deal and with CTMX with the Regeneron deal. So with confidence, I can buy those supports and expect the upper level resistances to hit at some point. All right, I'm looking for exit on TRT still. I've held this since earnings. There's just no volume. And it's approaching the 200 DMA. So with that, we did have some volume Friday. So hopefully someone will take notice of the great earnings and give me a chance to get out of this very illiquid stock. It definitely looks really, really cheap, but just very illiquid. So that's TRT Semi. That's in the same business as AIRG is in, but just not as good technology. All right, I want to mention TGB. This one, Matt has brought to our attention. He thinks that their mine is going to get approved any day, some specific mine. And if it does, he thinks the stock can re-rate to above $2. Now, it's right at 200 DMA resistance, and it looks like a nice little cup that's forming over here. So a move to $2 is certainly possible. Major resistance at 175. And you also have 50 DMA resistance at 153. So you do have some levels technically to break, 153 and 175, but love hearing that intelligence from Matt. Has been very good with some other picks for us this year. So definitely one to take heed of and one you might want to play based on his advice. So thank you, Matt, for that TGB. Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Looking for entry here. 108, 109 possible downside. There's also support here, very good support at 119. So 119 and then 109, you're down your support levels to the downside on Clearfield. Okay, now look at these stocks right here, starting with Clearfield. These are high quality stocks that I'm holding long term in my IRA. Well, MobileEye, I just sold that. I intend to hold it long term. I have to get back into this one and find an allocation for a long term position. But look at these. These are all stocks that have hit 50 all-time highs, basically. Continually keeps hitting all-time highs. Clearfield, MobileEye, Celsius, REL, Air, BTU about to hit a 52-week high. Very close to a 52-week high. Look at this cup that's forming on BTU. Wow, that looks like a 35 target for me on BTU. Deere, all-time high. We identified that huge earnings report. Look at all these green candles over here. These are lots of really, really good companies. Clearfield, MobileEye, Celsius, REL, Air, BTU. And for the most part, I'm just holding all of these, not even trading. MobileEye, I did trade, but I want to get back and I want to get into it, like I just said. And then PLAB, I think, is can catch up. This used to be earlier this year one of those stocks also at all-time highs. Now I'm getting some errors. Wi-Fi may be weak again. I don't know what's going on with our signal this morning. But anyway, PLAB earnings next week. Is it next week? December 13th. So December 13th. PLAB earnings next week. I'm hoping that this is going to join the party again and hit all-time highs again. Join that party. TSM, another solid one with Warren Buffett play on semiconductors. So this is something I want to hold. So lots of great companies. So we do our trading every morning, but we also have identified in our community many great companies thanks to the collaboration. Chris Tarbert on Clearfield. Chris Tuttle helped us out on MobileEye. Jonah Lupton, we borrowed that idea from, I borrowed that idea after meeting Jonah Lupton in person. He convinced me that a couple summers ago on Celsius or Rel. Julian gave that to us. Well, Air, you all know the story on Air. BTU, I think Matt gave that to us. Deer, I think I alerted you guys to that from my watch list. PLAB, Tony gave that to us. So lots of great collaboration. And we're kind of filtering and elevating the best ideas. And through this process, we found 5-6 stocks in our portfolio that keep hitting all-time highs this year. So keep up the great work, guys. And these are still great companies, I believe, to hold. Want to mention DAIO next Monday night. We're interviewing the CEO. Looks like a solid little company. Can this be the next Air? We're going to find out. So tune in next Monday night for DAIO. AIRG, we've interviewed the CEO on this. They have a multi-million-dollar deal. I did talk to him about this multi-million-dollar deal. It's per year. It's not just the life of the contract. These are for EV charging stations. So that's pretty interesting. If they get another deal like that, see some momentum follow-on deals in that sector, you can see definitely big sentiment premium forming for AIRG. 200 DMA though at 823 first. I do want to mention RUM. I'm souring on this because of the sentiment really dying down, and that's because of Elon Musk taking over Twitter. So RUM used to have a premium for being that free speech platform. And now, I've been looking for signs that RUM would benefit, at least even sentiment-wise. I from a fundamental point of view, they should benefit in the near term with the ecosystem, right? With less censorship, you can see Rumble links being spread virally throughout the platform, and that should be good for the fundamentals of the company. But sentiment-wise, it's not turning out to be good. You hear no one talking about Rumble anymore. There's no excitement around Rumble. The free speech, everything about a free speech platform, all the air has been taken out, and it's all towards Elon Musk and Twitter. And no one's talking about Rumble anymore. That's a problem in terms of if you want a premium for your stock price. So this is something to be aware of. Definitely more danger here because we know the fundamental price is probably not worth more than $5. You got a big sentiment premium in a market that doesn't give other stock sentiment premiums right now. So that's why it's been losing its price over time. Now, maybe something will come up and we'll have a catalyst that comes up and it'll take it back up higher, but you got to be careful with RUM and take into account this lower sentiment that's happening right now. It could be an issue for price targets here for Rumble. All right. So that's about it that I got today. Internet connectivity issues here this morning. Don't know what's going on, but scrolling back up, let's see if we can kind of focus on what are the top picks for today. I think CTLP is a good one to look at for possible continuation in the stock price today. Based on that news, maybe I'm making a move towards 387. Maybe you'll want to buy supports and see if we can make a move there. So CTLP. And then the other thing is, despite the SPY and QQQ being down, I think these charts in these risk assets are so good that we can continue. These are starting from Credit Suisse, MEIP, SPS, SPRC, FAZE, XXII, GOEV, CANO, CTMX, TBLA, TRT. All of those, I think there's a chance that some of these will have good runs today, and I'm looking to exit on all of those when they have some nice pops, okay? And that's it. And, these nice high-quality companies, let's look for entries and pullbacks and get in them either for trades or for long-term entries. Lots of really good companies. So, all right, guys, again, sorry for all the technical issues. We'll be collaborating in the chat room. See you soon.
you.